and it might possibly happen. That will give you a certain kind of protection right there, won't it?
That's my way of thinking, is that the idea is to build those pathways in your brain for when they become necessary. Correct.
Really interesting. And if we go back to this, the question of the alien contact again and so forth, did you mention alien wars as well? Will this imply human beings in this as well, or are we talking about just other civilization fighting, but we'll be able to be in a position where we can witness this, or what's going on here?
Well, now we have to be very clear, and I want to say that we don't have any indication that you'll be shooting at space aliens per se. Okay, what we do have is at a very high archetype is the archetype of war. But we have to be aware that war has various meanings and flavors within that archetype, including contention and even non-violent struggles like Gandhi waged against the British. So all of that is within this war concept, and we don't have enough granularity to have enough specifics. However, what I can tell you at this stage is that there's going to be a contention at many different levels within the human society as we go through the contact experience. And one of the levels of contention may involve actual warfare, but it appears it'll be between competing factions of humans that may be attempting to control an alien technology, so to speak, or to control the interaction with alien technology, rather than humans against aliens. But we also have language at a detail level that suggests for some period of time, I don't know how long, probably months, but I wouldn't suspect years, that people in rural areas will actually arm themselves. This will be more prevalent in the United States than in other areas, but we do show a lot of it in Russia and in Central Europe and over in the steppes, where rural people will arm themselves against nightly abductions or contact by beings they'll find to be reprehensible. Now, and it may be that the meme comes out as a result of contact. It may just be that everybody gets afraid of it and starts talking about it, and they never actually do it. But we have language to suggest, that a knock on a door in the middle of a night in a rural farm without announcing yourself might be met by a shotgun blast just because they think you're a space alien.
Right. Yeesh. That's just incredible. I mean, I've heard stories as well in regards to fake alien invasions and so forth, and the potential threat from an alien force in order to further propel the totalitarian state, the New World Order agenda as well, that these two actually play, put it this way, the powers that be can utilize a situation like that in order to bring lockdown, so to speak, on this planet, and we'll be unable to actually confirm if it indeed is an alien force or not. Any resonance or hints regarding that type of information?
Yes, we do have that, and we have that as a sub-strategy in one of the archetypes within the powers that be entity. I suspect they will indeed use it, but the data that we have around it is that it's going to be a laughable failure. And it may be that it's superseded by real events with real aliens, or that it is such a crude special effect that we all laugh it off as being worse than you would see in a first-generation game. There
you go. And what you described before in terms of taking everything into account is that in order for the picture to make sense, we must view it with a holistic pair of eyes, so to speak. We have to look at everything and incorporate that into the picture in order to understand the picture as best as possible. But beyond that, beyond the already weird, strange, and fantastic possibilities that we're looking at here in the future years, are there any other kind of unknown parameters that are lurking out there that we haven't even, or you guys haven't even been able to figure out or make sense of yet?
Yes, there are a number of them that show up in the various data sets where I'm sure it's a case very much like in the 2001 incident where we don't have the appropriate language modeled. And if we did have the appropriate language modeled, I think it would be a little bit more clear. But for instance, let me give you the idea of a particular phenomena that we don't really have a language for, but we're calling them brain creases. And it comes from the German word for crop circle, which is corn crease. And basically what we're suggesting is that there exists the possibility that in the near future, and might be months away, but probably is more likely a year away, there's going to be a certain discussion level going on about individuals that are receiving in their brains what basically could be considered to be a crop circle or a glyph. And what we're seeing in our data suggests, and it's very difficult to put words to this because we're sure they're not accurately modeled, but the best we can do is to say that maybe the next generation of crop circles is going to be brain-to-brain transmission, and that humans are going to get a whole lot of information as a result of this. This is all corroborated by this cross-subset into our populace entities that's all around this idea of gnosis. And at first I thought the gnosis would be, due to how the data originated, I thought it would be some kind of homegrown sort of a thing. And indeed it may. There may be homegrown discoveries that will produce part of this effect. But nonetheless, there is this external subset that seems to suggest that our brain creases are headed our way, the way that we've got corn creases now. And then there's other things that are even weirder than that. One of them is the suggestion that the photon belt idea, or 2,000 years of a golden age, actually exists at a energetic level if we get trapped in the Milky Way. But because we don't have any historical model for that, we just don't really even have a clue as to what words to start adding emotions to even start picking that kind of thing up.
That's really interesting. And you mentioned brain-to-brain transmission. Are you talking about organic telepathy or I guess materialistic technology here? Do you know?
No, I don't know. What I'm suggesting is that instead of people in England walking around and discovering a giant crop circle in a field, maybe some subset of humanity, maybe on the order of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of people, that particular night, instead of these guys creating a crop circle, they beam information into all these hundreds of thousands of people that particular instant. Ooh. And so you have 100 or more thousands of people. We certainly tens of thousands. Numbers are weird in our work because the internet is filled with numbers, so we have a tendency to throw them out. But the words we're getting that describe the impact of this particular coming phenomena seem to suggest that it would happen to tens of thousands of people at the same time in an instant. And I'm not talking about rapture or being uplifted or any of that, but the effect of this on these individuals at an emotional level is going to be quite engaging, and they'll enjoy it, so to speak, just as an aside, because of the surety, the certainty that arises of it from contact with the holonomy. But basically, it's going to be like all of a sudden we wake up and there's a discussion in various forums and so on, and it'll eventually get to mainstream media about individuals that all have the same dream at the same instant. It lasts the same length of time, and it includes all these same symbols.
Ooh.
Sort of makes sense.
Oh, that's very interesting. Does this have anything to do with the Swirly software?
No. Insofar as I can tell, it's not at all related. There's no correlation that people that use the Swirly software and spin the crop circles will in any way get a greater level of advantage in this than other than that. The kind of information we get seems to suggest that this is a big external project. And so in that sense, it's like us, we're all the lab rats here, some of whom are going to get all their tails dyed pink, and we're going to recognize that our tails have been dyed pink, but we won't have a clue as to what that pink might mean, or how they decided that we would get our particular tails dyed pink as opposed to the guy next to us.
But ultimately, this is done because whatever the force behind this is want to change us or turn us into something else? What's your take on that?
I don't know. That's speculation. I don't like answering why questions because the why questions always go to intent.
Yeah.
And I know I've got the intent to go get a cup of coffee, but much beyond that, I don't even know my own intent. So it's speculation as to why they might be doing this. The effect, though, insofar as our data, does not seem to be negative. Certainly on an emotional level, all of the people that are involved will perceive it as positive. But to those people that are not perceiving it, the effect, there's going to be a certain level of fear associated with it. Almost like a zombie movie starting up in a theater. If you're not, if you see the zombies and you're not one of the zombies, you're a little bit sketchy about the whole thing, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, again, just to kind of summarize a little bit here, if this isn't true, we're in for a heck of a ride, obviously. And what do you see then in terms of progression of all of this? Will it slowly be implemented one thing at a time, or we just bam unfold, as that in the next couple of years here, or what do you see in terms of timing for all of this?
It's going to be very much like if we were to characterize it and anthropomorphize it, then all of humanity is a single individual standing at the top of a hill, starting to walk down, And in the process of walking down, a few pebbles are knocked loose, which then start a little bit movement of sand, and you step into that sand, your footing is unsure, you trip over a stone, and from that point on, you're just struggling and desperate to recover your footing as you're accelerating down the hill. So it won't happen all at once, but once the whole process starts, you're going to have to be on your toes not to end up face first in it.
Yeah, that's right. And personally, I'd kind of, well, we'll see what happens if and when we are into it, but I'd certainly, from my point of view right now, welcome a change like that and very much enjoy the ride, although I definitely understand that there will be some kind of difficult dealing with your relationship to all of this, obviously, and process it psychologically and emotionally, obviously. But from your point of view, do you intend to enjoy the ride here, or are you scared of all of this?
Oh, I'm a paranoid fellow by nature, but not as bad as like Igor, the guy who works with me, who chews his mustache off in frustration constantly. But no, I'm of the opinion that it's your personal karma that will determine how it all happens to you as an individual. And I'm quite fascinated because of the nature of our work. I'm desperate for surprise, and I love seeing change manifest, not only to plot against to see how accurate we were, but to actually find areas that are different and get that little surprise. So I'm going to enjoy all of this. Yes, it's going to be quite fascinating.
Oh, indeed. And Clif, all I want to say here is that we obviously love to have you back at some point here and talk more about this stuff, and the more that happens and is discovered and so forth. So we definitely leave this invitation out there for you to pick up on or not. But we definitely want you to mention again your website so people know where to go and how we can follow along then in the reports that you guys are producing.
Well, we've got the report out there now that covers the period of time from now basically through to about November of 2010 with some detail. And we've got some real interesting stuff in it, so you can go to halffasthuman.com and pick up that report. But we're all going to be living this starting October 25 onward. And I think you'll be able to wake up on the morning of the 25th or the 26th. We could be off by a day. And then and see the change in the language, and then you'll know that our ride's accelerating. We've just stumbled over that little bit of rock, and we're about to start heading down that hill.
Very exciting stuff indeed. Thank you so much for coming on the program, Clif. I really appreciate you taking the time and spending it with us here today.
Sure. Yeah, no problem at all. In the future, after we get into some of this, if it's all holding together, I'll certainly be quite happy to come back.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much, Clif.
Thank you.
That's our program with Clif High. Really interesting hearing from Clif and the material that the WebBot has brought forth. We will obviously follow the story and keep you up to date and invite Clif back on the program. Thank you for listening. We appreciate your support, and until next program, keep an eye on the website for the latest.